John Razimus here with Mysterialis. This is the new t-shirt. I just got it today from my t-shirt store. Check that out. New designs coming soon. Some designs are going to be retired. I'm glad I was able to see what the product looks like, as some don't look as good as others. But this one definitely looks good. And perhaps I'll do one without this skull design, but I like it. But I'm going to be doing more designs. Like, I'm going to do some with images. Like the Casa Grande domes has some really cool graffiti. And so I'm going to include that in one of them. And maybe some tombstones. Nothing disrespectful. This is all about proving spirits exist. Mysterialis is the name of my ghost investigation show. And Ghost X is also like just another name for that. Why does my camera keep going in and out of focusing? I'm not sure. I am not sure. You know, that shouldn't be taking place. All I know is on Ghost Adventures, whenever that focusing goes back and forth, sometimes it means the spirit is messing with the camera. I can't confirm whether that's the case or not here, but my show Mysterialis, I have investigated a good 10 plus locations. My equipment is getting better all the time. I'm still going through data. I've been sick the past 2 weeks from this summer flu that is about to hit everywhere. Luckily, I'm immune to this summer flu at this point because I'm almost fully over it. I'm about to turn on my 2 REM pod features on my 2 Mel Meters, and I like the difference. About to turn both of them on. I only turn these things on when there's a camera rolling. And I recommend, if you have one of these, only turn them on when a camera is rolling. Because if you happen to capture something phenomenal and a camera didn't get it, guess what? No one's going to believe you. Always have a camera rolling when you turn on your Mel Meter. Wow, the light on this one is almost too bright. The light on this one is just right. This is my second Mel Meter I've yet to use in any investigation. It has less features. The battery probably lasts longer, but the same amount of features are turned on right now. We have temperature, 81.4, 81.6. Every temperature reader is going to vary by small amounts. 81.3, 81.3. Wow, they're both matched right now. 0.0 milligauss of electromagnetic fields around this area. I got rid of my cell phone, so there's no interference or contamination. I never bring my cell phone on an investigation ever. I leave it in the car, blocks away. You never want to bring your cell phone. Even the apps you have on your cell phone will stealthily interact with the internet, turning your cell phone into a magnet of radiation. Perhaps harmless radiation, perhaps otherwise. But if you want to be a legit ghost investigator, and this is not an advertisement, I don't get a single penny for considering the Mel Meter my #1 piece of investigation equipment. I just love the product. Made by Gary Galka, I believe is his name. The Mel Meter is an ingenious device. It's the best of the best. Other EMF detectors are going to be very poor comparisons. Even the professional grade ones that electricians use, from what I've seen so far, aren't as good as the ones Gary makes, because Gary, he already had a professional meter company before he invented the Mel Meter, and so he incorporated his knowledge in that field to make the #1 ghost hunting device in the world. We have 0.2. Ooh, we had a 0.2, 0.1. And I've never done this, but holding 2 up, perhaps there's a spirit over here? I don't know. I hope not. I don't want to be bothered, but I was on an investigation going to, just for fun, see if I can get spirits on this side of me and on this side of me. I would have to have a camera on my hat to do that. But, you know, it'll be a fun little test to test out. In the next couple months, I will go on a trip, and I am going to walk down a famous boulevard, and I'm going to carry one of these, and people look at me like I'm an idiot, but guess what? When you tell people you're investigating ghosts, sure, half the people are going to laugh at you, laugh in your face. The other half are going to be like, that's interesting, you know? Some people even walk up to you, as I've noticed, and they'll say, wow, I love those shows. They know I'm not on any of those shows, but they still love the technology and the science, even though science rejects it, of, yeah, you can prove there are fields floating around, and if you can get more data, if you can have a recorder, I'm going to have 3 lapel mics hooked up with a 4th one in my hand. I'm going to be placing at various locations on future investigations. That setup I happened to come across and just made up on the spot on my first investigation with the Mel Meter. It was beginner's luck. I've said this a few times before, but it's kind of like going to Las Vegas, and on my first hour of using a slot machine, I won $260. And so the devil's he's gonna let you win your first time gambling just to get you addicted. I'm gonna turn these things off. Just wanted to show you my investigation equipment is always gonna be increasing. Turn these things off. It's funny, the device almost set itself off. So yeah, very, very sensitive device. I'm going to be detecting, using these Mel meters, I'm going to do a test around cell towers. I'm going to be sure to avoid cell towers, avoid people with cell phones. I was walking down a sidewalk in Pasadena, California. A guy walking his dog walked up to me, and he was interested. You know, I said I'm conducting an experiment for science, and I almost felt like Doc Brown. You know, he didn't see it as a stupid thing. He thought it was interesting. He started to talk about different devices, different scientific equipment. And then I got a pretty big spike, and it could have been, you know, he could have been touching his cell phone in his pocket. He could have been getting a text from someone. He could have been, it could have been a reaction from his cell phone, because mine was in my car. So I'm definitely aware that cell phones, cell towers, there are many different types of things that can give you a false read. And I'll debunk myself before anyone else even gets a chance to see it. Feel free to debunk any of my results yourself. I'm all about the truth. Anyone that's afraid of the truth is going to be afraid of perhaps being debunked, not me. Feel free to debunk anything that I bring to the table. Wow, this focus is just off the charts, not working so great. I have a new microphone on the camera, a Rode. Hopefully it works good. I'm not wearing a lapel mic. The sync was off on my last video. My last video, you know, it was definitely not well edited in terms of editing and audio being off. I will strive to have better editing, but I don't have any editors. And I was sick during the editing process, and I didn't even check. I didn't even double check before I uploaded it. So I definitely will be double checking. And I have a lot of footage. I walked down Pasadena a location I suspected might be haunted. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm going to be wrong. And let's face it, I don't know how many houses, haunted houses, these ghost hunting crews go to before they find one that's legitimately haunted. I wonder if they delete footage or just don't air an episode if nothing happens. Because the Ghost Adventures guys are a little bit too lucky. And I suspected within the first 10 episodes, are spirits following the crew? Is it, as I referred to in my last video, simply the familiar spirits of the crew that follow them forever? Are they interacting to weave a tall tale of elaborate confusion? And seems like a long seems like a long game to pull such a scheme, but trust me, spirits are invisible. Their schemes are invisible unless you can figure them out. Even when you figure them out perfectly, you still can't know for sure. It's that perfect of a scheme. Us humans are idiots. There's a new article from Newsweek, a legitimate publication, that said the government has been investigating UFOs, and they show the footage of the actual Air Force footage or the legitimate government pilot footage with the bright lights that they're chasing for an hour, and they disappear. They can never find the physical proof of these unidentified flying objects. They seem to fade into... What happens is, if they're paranormal UFOs, they fade off into their dimension, just like a ghost. Unidentified flying objects, the paranormal kind, are ghosts. It's the same thing, same principle, same concept. And the government, according to this Newsweek article, I have to do a little bit digging. I have to actually see the released documents for myself. But Newsweek... Apparently there's like a rabbit behind me. Anyway, Newsweek, they said the government's also researching strange creatures and even poltergeists in relation to UFOs. Something I've made comparisons to in the past. Please tell me in the comments why you think UFO fans and then ghost fans are always at odds with each other. It's always something you either believe in ghosts or you believe in UFOs, but you never believe in both, ever. Alien fans, Bigfoot fans, ghost fans, sure, you can be casually, you can sit back and casually watch a show on ancient Bigfoot, ancient UFOs, ancient ghosts. But how many people, from my perspective, see it as the same phenomenon? The most logical conclusion after you've had first-hand witness of a spirit in your life is, wow, a lot of these things that fade into nothing like Bigfoot, fade into nothing like a UFO or unidentified flying object, fade into nothing like a spirit, they seem to be walking back into their dimension. It's such an obvious conclusion that it's immediately rejected. There's some type of phenomenon going on here when the obvious conclusion is rejected immediately because it has to be something even more mysterious than that. Sometimes it's not more mysterious than that. Occam's razor isn't always right. Unidentified flying objects are sometimes legitimately, authentically paranormal. It doesn't mean they're aliens, though. So jumping to the alien conclusion is illogical to me because they've left no physical evidence. I've read plenty of stories of physical evidence being left. And then when you try to find that physical evidence being examined in a laboratory, you come up with a big fat zero, and then you get in the realm of, what about this? It's metal we've never seen before. It's biological. It still ends up a big fat zero in the realm of science. In the arena of science, they're going to be stone cold blunt. They're going to say, you know what? Unless it's over the top proven in a court of law, you got nothing. So, scientific evidence of extraterrestrials landing on planet Earth other than microbes and freaking meteorites. I've seen zero evidence. I'm in the realm of spirits are real because I've firsthand witnessed spirits. I'm in the realm of Bigfoot. I've never witnessed any big feet. Loch Ness Monster, never saw it. Unidentified flying object, back in the 90s, I saw unexplained lights. So I can't even say it was an object. I saw unexplained lights. 2 significant encounters, they were lights though, always just lights. So why do you think the alien fans and the ghost fans, they can't get along? Trust me, the most logical conclusion is aliens are ghosts. They're spirits. I would like to see a flying saucer and an extraterrestrial get out, but just like the day the Earth stood still, there would be machine guns all over that guy. Anyway, new shows coming soon. The investigation series, Mysterialis, is far from over. I have easily 6 investigations I have to edit. And then if nothing happens, do I upload me walking down the sidewalk and some guy walking his dog talks to me about the Amazon Echo for 10 minutes? I want to bring you quality content, and so I'm not always going to be presenting. Although even that instance, I was outside the house of a famous person involved in the occult, who I'm not a fan of, but I thought perhaps some ghostly activity might be in the area. I'm going to be testing out my new equipment. I'm going back to the pirate house. I'm turning the pirate house into a full-blown documentary. It'll be a YouTube documentary. But you know what? I'm going to put too much expense. You guys don't even know. I've spent $700 on one video in the past. $1,400 on another video in the past. And then when the return is $1.40, you can't claim I'm doing it for the money. I don't do this for the money. And YouTube, I'd say they're pretty chintzy, so I'm not even getting the minimum amount you can pull out in a month. I'm getting, and they always like round down. They'll round down like, oh, you earned so and so much? We'll cut that in half and round down, and maybe in 6 months you'll see a penny. So this t-shirt site is to promote the show, to fund the show, to pay for the gas for me to even to drive places to investigate. I'm going back to the Casa Grande Domes. I will upload the Casa Grande Domes episode, but it was in the daytime, and I have to say that there were a few spikes, like a 2.8 spike 2 times. Perhaps that 2.8 spike was the signature of that spirit. Maybe that spirit puts off a 2.8 milligauss. I don't know. But I'm going to go back, and if I get a 2.8 consistently when I know I left my cell phone in the car, and I did during that investigation, and every single one of my investigations, I've left my cell phone in the car. I'm going to go to the extent of researching where's the closest cell tower. I'm going to have these things up to a cell tower to show you how much electromagnetic field radiation is emitted by a cell phone tower. I'll do this to power lines to see how much is emitted by power lines, to give you an idea of the science behind, is this a ghost or is this the natural Earth? And that's not going to be here or there. It's going to be either power lines or a cell tower or a freaking power outlet with 1,000 things plugged into it. It's going to be people with a bunch of cell phones next to you. Or it's going to be a ghost. I guarantee these devices do detect spirits. 100%. My first use of this device right here detected spirits. I'm going to re-upload a part which a good commenter noticed what one of the EVPs said. I used this for the first time, and I had the antenna touching a piece of metal, and of course he was going off But I was so new to this device, I didn't know that, yes, when you break the static electricity field, it's going to go off. It doesn't mean anything other than you're too close to something. And maybe for a minute I thought there was something being emitted from a piece of metal I was touching with metal. And then the EVP says very clearly, "That's not a spirit," in a man's voice.
I'm about to leave. This is your chance to tell us if you're here or not.
A direct response to something that I was talking about. I used the word spirit like 30 times in that video. And so for a spirit to say that's not a spirit in an EVP right after I'm falsely detecting a spirit on a piece of metal with an antenna like an idiot, that's verifiable proof. A lot of people complained that the microphone was too loud. I know it's too loud. I purposely put up an Audio-Technica microphone, lapel mic, that is too loud. It's the reason I went to the extent of buying a Rode microphone which picks up only my voice and not all this background noise, because of the Audio-Technica being able to pick up a police siren from 20 miles away. That's an exaggeration, but I have heard police sirens on the Audio-Technica audio when I was not hearing any police sirens with my ears. So that's how good the mic picked up ambient noise around me, to the point where it can pick up the voices of spirits. But with that annoyingly loud, taking in every sound, sometimes a spirit will talk like this, in whispers, where you can't hear anything. But when you have a microphone that can pick up everything, that's exactly the type of microphone you want to use to pick up EVPs. And I haven't had the setup of all these lapel mics on all of my investigations. I did buy a new lapel mic, a Sony dual microphone, for a recorder, and I'm going to buy a couple new recorders. But this lapel mic setup I have is pretty good. Testing out a new one, and I'll have a free one I'll be putting in places to pick up more voices. It takes a lot of time. If you have 4 recorders, you got to listen to an hour 4 times, 4 hours of listening. Extremely lengthy process, as you can imagine. But I'm going to be investigating thoroughly to an extreme extent. I know for a fact a poltergeist lives at this abandoned house in the middle of nowhere. I'm going back, turning it into a documentary, a YouTube documentary for free. I'm working on a booklet. It'll be a dual booklet, part 1 and part 2. I have half of it written already, but really substantial. I'm going to show you in this booklet the most simplistic steps of how to get a spirit to reveal itself. I'll give away a free chapter right here. Believe the spirit exists. Believe spirits are real. If you don't believe they're real, trust me, if I went to this abandoned house and didn't believe ghosts were real, this poltergeist would have never walked on the wheatgrass that was dry. I would have never heard the footprints, and it would have never walked up to me. This was no deer. It was no snake. This was an actual person walking in the grass right up to me. And the footage isn't the best because he was in pitch blackness. I did have the night vision on. There was zero wind. And this was a person walking in the grass right up to me. It wouldn't have done that if it didn't see me circle the house 4 times, talking about spirits the whole time. Like, I wonder if there's any spirits here. Investigating for ghosts. It knew I was there investigating spirits. It knew I believed. I made comments along the way that only someone that believes, and over the top, someone that knows ghosts exist, would have made. So it made a calculated decision. I haven't revealed myself to someone in 100 years, perhaps. Maybe 200, 300 years. Who knows? The house was built in 1820, I believe. And so maybe not 300 years. But then again, if it's a landlocked spirit, as I talked about in my last video, perhaps it's been there for 50,000 years. You have to really piece the puzzle together. I'm going to be continuing to investigate until I get to the bottom of a good capturing of evidence. You can see. So I no longer have to say, I heard this, I saw that out of the corner of my eye. You can see, at least glimpse, what it's like. And when I do these solo missions, I think it helps. Because spirits are less intimidated, as the Ghost Adventures crew will talk about here and there. They're less intimidated if you're by yourself. So they're more prone to reveal themselves if you're by yourself. I'm giving away way too many secrets, perhaps, or perhaps you've already heard all this before. But when you actually put it into practice and actually do it, you see firsthand for yourself. And I'll say, if you don't believe in spirits and you go in a huge group on some drunken adventure, chances are they're not going to respect you enough to reveal themselves to you. Spirits, I think, do have a certain amount of pride. No matter what you think their true nature is, they have a certain amount of pride. They're not just going to reveal themselves to everyone. It's the reason why many people, most of the world, a good portion of the world, is doubtful whether they exist or not. I know for a fact they exist. I wouldn't have purchased these two expensive pieces of equipment if I didn't already know for a fact spirits exist. I've had first-hand contact. I've talked about it at extreme great length. Stay tuned. More episodes. Mysterialis coming soon. New t-shirt designs coming soon. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus. Be seeing you.
I'm about to leave. This is your chance to tell us if you're here or not.